Nice to have you with us. Hour number 3 radio program. Good to have you aboard here on a Friday afternoon here on Mad Dog Unleashed as we chat the great Sirius XM 82. And let's take you home here a little potpourri before we get you started with the third hour today. Obviously, NFL is still a big theme. All right, first off, NBA, where we stand here, we got a couple of games, 3 game sixes tonight. The road team is trailing in one of them, and that is Oklahoma City. 2 home teams trailing game 6, and that is, of course, Washington and the Pacers. I don't know the times of the game. Is the Pacers at 7 or at 8 tonight? I know the Pacers are at 8. What are the Wizards tonight? Is it 7? But you got the 3 games tonight in the NBA. Wizards and Raptors in Washington. Yeah, Washington, really handled them pretty well in Game 3, a little closer Game 4. We'll see how that works. If Toronto wants to be considered a big-time team, how about Toronto win a road game in the first round? Is that asking too much? The Raptors who won 59 games, could we, in fact, expect the Raptors to be able to win a road game in the first round? I would think a team that won 60, that's the 1 seed, could figure out a way to beat the 8th seed a game on the road in round number 1. We'll see about the Wizards tonight against the Raptors. Then, of course, Cavs tonight against Indiana. That's a 6th game at the in Indiana. Indiana was pretty close to making sure they took a stranglehold on this series, and now they got to play a game for their lives. And of course, Seattle, Oklahoma City tonight. After that unbelievable second half when Westbrook and George went crazy, will be in Utah tonight. The Jazz trying to recover from blowing a 25-point third quarter lead to actually have to play in this game tonight in Utah. So those are your 3 tonight. Last night, of course, Boston. Game was close for a while, but, Milwaukee, for the most part, even late, with a 4-point lead with the ball in pretty good shape and got the job done against the Celtics, and now they get ready for a Game 7. That game, by the way, will be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So tomorrow night in the NBA, Milwaukee will play a Game 7 in Boston. That game will be a fun game. That building, I know the Celtics are not whole, but that building with the Freak in Boston, that will be a lively game. Because that's a good arena, that's great history, and it's the 7th game with the Bucks. That will be a good game tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. That's TNT. I know both teams aren't winning the NBA championship, but it's still a 7th game you watch. And then, of course, tomorrow night also is Game 1 of the New Orleans Golden State series. We'll get some update with that a little later here with our buddy Lockery. Curry is questionable, but I expect he would play. The Kerr said he played very well in practice, was doing everything. I think they wanted to see if he can do back-to-back practices. I expect Curry to come back here and play this Game 1 tomorrow against New Orleans. I don't know what this. Did we see a series price on that, by the way, Eddie, with New Orleans and Golden State to see where we stand? Now, I think that we will have 2 Game 7s on Sunday. I think the Wizards are going to win tonight, and I think that Indiana is going to win tonight. I think Utah will beat Oklahoma City. So I think the Pacers will win and the Wizards will win. Now, if that occurs, the Wizards will play at 1 and the Cavaliers will play at 3:30. If Utah lost tonight and the Pacers won tonight, Utah-Oklahoma City will play Sunday at 1, Game 7 in OKC, and the Pacers will play at 3:30. Regardless, ABC has 2 games on Sunday. Now, if they, in fact, get a couple of Game 7s. Now, I don't know what happens if there's only 1 Game 7. They got 2 allotments at 1 and 3:30. I don't know if Utah wins tonight. They're going to have to play Houston in Game 1 at 1 o'clock. That I do not know. If they're going to make them have a quick turnaround to start the second round so ABC can have a game. I don't know if that's the deal. ABC right now is scheduled for 2 games on Sunday. They're going to hope they get 2 Game 7s. If they do, Wizards will play the first game and the Pacers and Cavs will play at 3:30. If the Wizards lost tonight and Toronto advanced, remember, Toronto can't play Cleveland because Cleveland, of course, got a game if they lose tonight. So that Cleveland will be at 3:30 and OKC would be at 1. The issue is if Utah wins tonight and the Raptors win tonight and they only have 1 Game 7 of Indiana at 3:30, are they going to make Utah play at Houston at 1? That I do not know. They probably will because they got the allotment there, and that obviously is a very brutal turnaround for the Jazz. But you got the 3 Game 6s tonight we keep an eye on as far as the NBA is concerned. All right.
What do you think the series price is, at least where I'm looking?
At New Orleans?
Yeah.
I would bet New Orleans. I would say they're plus 320.
I got plus 650.
Wow. Wow, they got that's a good bet. You'd play that team. It's worth it. Wow. Plus 650 was C down the road. Now, an awful loss by the Capitals last night. Had a lot of momentum. Won 4 in a row against Columbus. Big game in overtime. Got the Blue Jackets out of there after they trailed 2-0. They got a 2-0 lead on Pittsburgh last night in the third period. A team they never beat in the postseason. Got a lot of momentum at home, the whole 9 yards. The Penguins look tired. What happens? 3 goals in 6 minutes. And the Penguins win game 1, 3-2. Boy, oh boy, was that a deflating loss for Washington. Pittsburgh is just, they got 9 lives, and the Capitals can't beat them. Pittsburgh is still by far the team to beat. And then, of course, Vegas last night buried San Jose 7-0. They got 4 goals in the first period. So Vegas now has won 5 games in a row in the postseason. And if I'm not mistaken, 3 of them are by shutouts. They won 3-2 and 2-1 in overtime, and I think the other 2 games against the Kings, 1-0 and 1-0 were shutouts, and then they won last night. So they have just done a tremendous job tightening up from a defensive perspective. So the Knights, of course, lead that series 1-0. The game tonight is Winnipeg in Nashville. That's game 1. The game tomorrow at 3 o'clock is game 1 with the Bruins against Tampa. Game 2 tomorrow night is Vegas hosting the Kings. That's probably a Kenny Albert game because you would expect Emmerich to stick with the Washington-Pittsburgh series. That game 2 is Sunday afternoon. So that's the hockey scenario from that standpoint. We keep that in the mix, too. So hockey and the NBA, where we stand here as far as the weekend is concerned, some good games. Meanwhile, in baseball, there's really, Yankees and the Angels is an interesting series. Yankees begin a very, very tough stretch on the road. We'll see how they handle it. There's really no other big series in the American League besides the Yankees, and the Red Sox will be at home against Tampa. Tampa just beat the Orioles. In the NL, Milwaukee and the Cubs, looks like the Cubs are going to lose again. Dodgers will play the Giants. They will have a 4-game series in San Francisco, and Arizona will be at Washington. Arizona, of course, is a team that has not lost a series yet. They have won 8 consecutive series, the Diamondbacks, to start the season, and they haven't played a lot of easy teams. Twice against L.A., they won a series in St. Louis, they won a series against the Phillies, and they beat the Giants twice. So they have, and the Rockies, they have not played easy teams. Have not lost a series yet. They play the weekend in D.C. We'll keep an eye on that. Dodgers are playing a ton of games against Arizona and the Giants to start the year. 4 games in San Francisco as we speak. And tonight in Pittsburgh, they will have a ceremony in about an hour and a half honoring Phil Coyne. Phil Coyne is 100 today. He was an usher, or has been an usher, for the Pirates since after World War II, 1945. So that's 45 plus, that's about 73 years of ushering for the Pirates. More significantly, which I find fascinating, Phil Coyne, at 16 years of age, was at Forbes Field, sitting in the children's section in right field, when Ruth played his last major league game. I shouldn't say his last, because he got 1 extra at bat. The last game that Ruth ever hit a home run in, 1935 in Pittsburgh. Ruth was playing for the Boston Braves. He didn't hit 1 home run. He didn't hit 2 home runs. He hit 3 home runs. And Phil Coyne, who you'll see in SportsCenter tonight, tomorrow, newspaper stories, was one of those 16-year-olds chasing the balls in right field at Forbes Field in Babe's last full game. He got 1 other at bat a day or so later, and that was his career. Think about that for a minute. 100 years of age today is Phil Coyne. 12 after the hour here on Mad Dog.